Teddy declined to answer when he was at his backup. Just to be clear, is Tua the unquestioned starter, or do you envision an open competition over the next 4 months?
No, that's an example of Teddy being a true professional and being experienced in this business. That is for us to talk about, really not him. You guys remember around the combine, I was describing, what specifically what I thought Tua really needed in support with a backup quarterback. Unbeknownst to you guys, I was quite literally describing Teddy Bridgewater at the time, just not using his name. So both players have been explicitly explained their roles and expectations, and for that room to be their best, they need to know that. And moving forward, we're very excited to have Teddy a part of the process, and hope to win some games with both those guys, working together and empowering Tua to be the best player he can be. And that's something that Teddy takes serious and is excited to do that.
What was your reaction when you heard that Tyreek Hill was a possible trade acquisition?
There was a lot of stuff going on in the brain. You're not sure if it's true. You get involved in these processes, and there's a lot of things that come across your desk. So I was trying to be a pro and understanding that don't get ahead of yourself. But it was very exciting to go through the process to see really Chris Greer and Brandon Shore work, and once it came to fruition, it couldn't be happier for the Miami Dolphins and adding a player of that talent to the team. I feel very confident about the players that we have at the offensive line position. I know Teron's going to be the left tackle for sure, but it wouldn't be fair to the process or the players to try to outline exactly who's going to be where moving forward, only because when you just off the top of my head, there's about 4 players, whether we got them in the draft in the last couple of years or in free agency this year, that one of their strengths are versatility. And we are doing a new scheme that highlights different attributes of a player's performance. And it wouldn't be fair to the process nor to the players to say, okay, this guy's going to be here exactly at this point, because it is a different scheme. We ask people to do different things, but excited about all those players. While really each and every draft pick that we've had up front were guys that in a different city, when I was working on a different team, were looking at targets for ourselves. So excited about those type of players, and starting in a week, we'll begin that process to decide exactly where they're at. I'm really excited about what Tyreek can do on the field, but even more than that, I think he has an opportunity that he's really excited about to develop the room as a player and lead. There's a lot of youth on our team, and he has a lot of outstanding experience, and really trying to just start next week, get him in the door, have him learn our language, and then utilize his vast array of skill sets in a multitude of ways. But you got to start with a foundation, much like building a house. We're building a football team, and we got to start with how to line up, and what cadences are, and how to come off the ball and utilize every single asset that he has in his body. Well, I hope not, because we haven't been able to meet about football yet. So, in regards to Tua and really any player on our offense, the nuts and bolts really begin April 4th for us when we start phase one. And you try to have good players on your team on both sides of the ball, as well as special teams. You try to empower players by having good teammates, and then you just, as boring as it is, you have to deliberately engage day in, day out to really get the end result that that everybody wants. So, have we done enough? Well, we barely even scratched the surface. It's going to be there's no shortcut to doing anything great in this league. And as much as you'd like to say bold, this, that, or the other, there's no shortcut. There's no secret. It's guys coming in together trying to work for a common goal and becoming the best offense, which remember, football is 11 separate players working together in unison at the same time. And that's what we're going to start working on Monday. And each and every day, we're going to be challenging Tua to be his very best, as well as every other player on the offense. Absolutely. I can say that this year's offense is going to be the best that we can make it into, but that's a lot of people that have to, who would am I just gonna dust some magic potion and be like, you're the best? No, you have to have a lot of people engaged in one direction to maximize whatever we have and score the most points possible and be the best offense that we can be. And I can promise you that as a coaching staff, that's where our mind's at. It has nothing to do, and last year's completely irrelevant in my mind. We can call it PMM if you want, pre-Mike McDaniel. It's about how good can we get with the people in front of us, and the people that are sacrificing and investing in the football team, the offensive players and the coaches. What can we best become? And that's the directive, and that's the motivation, and we won't lose sight of that for a minute.
The skill set, we might talk about Cedric Wilson and Chase Edmonds, what appealed to you skill-wise about each of those two?
Well, both of those football players, they came to us with an unbelievable reputation as human beings, and that's one thing that I can say about our entire free agent class is we added people that we are very proud of in terms of the human beings and what they're about because the players that you add in free agency kind of tell the team a lot of what you're expecting from them and what you want to invest in. Both players happen to be very good with the ball in their hands, which was attractive to us, and both players were in their own right self-made. They had to compete for opportunities in their given organizations, and that made them stronger. That didn't kill them. That made them stronger. So there is common traits in that go from the tape and beyond. And we felt like we had a lot of great information, courtesy of Chris Greer and his staff, on who these human beings were, and which made us feel very comfortable targeting them for the Miami Dolphins of 2022.
What kind of message does the addition of three free agents, proven free agents, and draft people like James, guys like Teron Armstead and Tyreek Hill, what kind of message does that send both to the players in the room and also to the fans?
I think it's important that we're transparent in that we're trying to do everything we can to win football games. I think there's other decisions that probably don't feel the same to the fans and the team in that way, but they're all under the same context and veil that we're doing whatever it takes, and that's no exception. I think, as I've said since I've gotten the job, that literally have support from everyone to do whatever it takes to best try to give ourselves opportunities to win games. This is no exception. It's something to be excited about, but there's a lot of other players on the team to be excited about as well. Well, I wouldn't. From a starting point, both players are exceptional with the ball in their hands. So, your starting point in terms of where you're trying to accentuate people's skill sets, that is a commonality. As far as exact ways that we'll use Tyreek Hill relative to the way that Deebo Samuel was used in San Francisco, there's probably going to be some overlap to some degree, but those are things that Deebo Samuel evolved into that role because of both circumstance and because of his skill set while in San Francisco. I expect no difference really with Tyreek, where we're going to start with the foundational elements of the receiver position, but I promise you we're not going to limit or we're going to continue the process of developing him and the Miami Dolphins football team, and for a lot of players that will look different in week 4 than on April 4th. Nate Sudfeld is adamant. I want to say a under the radar professional football player, and that happens a lot at the quarterback position because there's only a finite amount of reps for really the public to see. What we saw in practice was a very capable NFL player who was trending upward, whose best football was in front of him, and a guy that his skills were to a level and a degree that let his teammates take notice. They knew he was very, very capable, and that I think there's a lot of excitement in regard to his teammates when he comes on the field and they're allowed to play together. Well, I think there's something to be said about talented players, and there's a lot of talented players that are fast. I think we're trying to, you don't go in at the beginning of the whole process necessarily saying all we want are fast guys. What we want is really good football players at the position. On top of that, if they happen to be fast, there's a couple ways that we can utilize that. So I think the biggest thing is that we got some really good football players that happen to be fast, that on April 4th we're going to be able to start to get in rooms together and kind of develop what this team is going to be, because that, you can say whatever you want at a press conference in front of a microphone, but it's the blood, sweat, and tears that goes on when you're investing yourself and committing to and sacrificing your time and committing to a football team. And within those walls, the individual personalities kind of create the culture and really the likeness of what your team's going to look like and be moving forward for the season. I feel like I'm a couple wins behind him in the win-loss column. He's that's somebody that if you're a football guy and you have a pulse, I have the utmost respect and admiration for a coach of his caliber, and one of the best to ever, if not the best to ever do it. As far as how I compared with Witz, maybe you'll ask him and he'll be complimentary of me. I don't know. I think it's part of the business. It's okay to really respect people and acknowledge all the things that they've done for the game of football, and acknowledge where it might be if he hadn't been there. So I think that's important. But I'm also a professional football coach for the Miami Dolphins. We're gonna have to play them twice a year. There's some competitiveness there that's kind of entertaining, to say the least. But I was happy to talk to him. He's a tremendous human being, football coach, and I'll be excited to go against him next year.
Mike, will Connor Williams stay at left guard in his move from Dallas to here? And is the left side of your line, do you think now is good as any in football with Toronto?
Yeah. Again, I know in his past, and I think Connor said that he's been most comfortable at left guard with the Dallas Cowboys. What does that mean for the Miami Dolphins? Again, I wouldn't be doing justice to the process for all the players involved to not get them in-house and train them and see where they're most comfortable as Miami Dolphins. And that will be evident by their play and how they're able to execute the given tasks. But super excited to add he's one of many on the list that we're able to add, that their play is matched by the human being, and I think that will resonate itself on game days after a lot of work in April, May, June, July, August, and then September.
Describe your relationship with Tua at this point and how it's evolved over this short time.
That's been a cool process because the first time you talk to somebody since like maybe the combine process is on FaceTime while you're on a jet flying to meet them. Since then, I think there's been a lot of trust that has been earned. We've both been very honest and candid with each other, and I think that's in any healthy relationship that's paramount. And so that's been a fun process, and building that, it's a lot of build up, but you have to wait because the current CBA mandates that we do to talk football. But once that process starts on April 4th, I think the equity that we've built up in trust and mutual respect, I think that will pay dividends come to work next Monday about this time. No. No, that was something that that kind of came across our radar after it already begun. It really wasn't necessarily on our plans, so to speak, but it was something that once given the opportunity, it didn't take us long to jump on because, as you know and most people know, my affinity for Raheem is real. We've had journeys together where we can both, in a related way, we both have been counted out at some point, and pretty much earned everything we got. So it was really exciting, something that I didn't necessarily forecast going into the whole process, but something that was very easy to get excited about after it was on our plate. Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, that's something that when going through it, all the way back to 2018, there was a moment in time where, Raheem, I think he fumbled a couple times and kind of was losing some confidence, but then we really needed him to perform. I think it was against the Packers on maybe a night game. Maybe it was a Monday night in 2018. And, the whole team really, it resonated with them how much he stepped up to the plate. And it was his first big game of that season. So all the way back to that point in time, those things have been part of our conversations together. What's up? Oh, both players are out. We were very, very fortunate to retain both players on both sides of the ball, just because what you're talking about are professional football players that know the process and know how to execute and perform on a week-in, week-out basis. Those type of things cannot be lost in the whole process about dependable playmakers, and I feel like that's what the Miami Dolphins got and re-signed both players.
Coach, players are you getting in Connor Williams and Cedric Wilson? Certainly Connor had his issues in Dallas with the holes, and does what you did with Tyreek affect what you're playing with Cedric?
Was that three-prong? Two-prong. All right, so Connor and Cedric, got it. So very, very excited about both players for multiple reasons. Their on-field play, their perseverance, how they handle adversity, those are all things that are a big deal to the Miami Dolphins organization and our assessment of players. And then their playmaking ability. In talking to Connor, I know that those things have been brought up in terms of holding, and he's very aware of that. And how do you handle that? You coach technique. One thing that holding is a derivative of caring and trying, and so you try to fix that with technique, something that will hit fast and furious early and often, but nothing that has to do with the Miami Dolphins moving forward. Cedric, unbelievable talent. Who's not only well versed in the receiver play, but I think he threw the best receiver throw I've ever seen in my life, off schedule to his right. So excited about both of those individuals and adding them to the football team. I've never been around a coach that has ever said, "Hey, whoa, guys, there's way too many playmakers." And so I think we've added some playmakers, and there's only positives that can come with that. And I think all those guys will make each other better, working diligently and deliberately day in, day out through the off-season program. And Noland. To be fair, we did go into free agency with the least amount of players on contract of any team in the NFL. So there was a lot of work to do. Out of them all, I'm going to say the Miami Dolphins. Out of all the players, in the whole process, the person that played out the best would be the Miami Dolphins organization. For me, it's a football team, and to sit here and say that one player, I think they all snowballed on each other. I think there was a buzz that the Miami Dolphins organization and the city of Miami very much deserved, and the organization, to their credit, and I think they all snowballed on each other. So for me to say, the first one was probably special. So we re-signed Ogba and then Chase Edmonds, to kind of get it started, and it was early. So I think that tone set was important to me. But, diligently approaching it, I know you want, it's just not my nature as a football coach, to sit here and say my favorite player, only because they're all important to me, and it's the most obvious common sense thing to me to understand that, hey, guess what? Not any of them can have any success unless the other guy is performing to the best of his ability. You can't. There's no individual one player that just stands alone. So I was more excited about the entire group. And so probably the one that started it off was the most special, just because it was like, all right, it's real and it's time, and here we go.
Mike, what has the reaction been from everybody, coaches, GMs around the league that you've seen here towards you guys about the Tyreek Hill trade? What are some things that they're telling you about, prospects of next year and what this could do for you guys as a team?
No, I think it's a small circle of people in the National Football League. So there's most of the guys I know, and people have been pretty excited for the most part. Just in understanding that, it takes a lot of people to orchestrate a move like that. That just doesn't start and stop with me at all. But the personnel side, Chris Greer, and then all the magic that Brandon Shore had to work. Just acknowledging that it takes a village, or it takes an entire organization to pull something off, and I think that respect for what we're doing in this phase of the off season, that didn't go unnoticed, and people were, there were some daps, some high fives, a couple low fives, yeah. Huh? What? Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of people that didn't. What he was saying was, I was saying just be you, and so because I kept repeating just be you, that was what I sounded like Shrek. It wasn't necessarily the vocal part, which, if I'm a phase of Michael Myers' voice, I wouldn't be totally mad about that, but I don't think that's exactly what he's trying to say.
Mike, there seems to be an idea. Obviously, you'd like both, but there seems to be an idea now, like you have a great quarterback who elevates the team around him, or you can build a team that maybe elevates the quarterback. Can you talk to maybe the mid-ground on that?
I know quarterbacks need players, and players need quarterbacks. The exact formula of how you go about doing that is honestly, all right, what's the best way? We have player X. What's the best player that we can get to complement player X? That's player Z. And then you go to some other consonants. In terms of the best formula, I think it's a formula that's adapting to the people around them. I think having an identity that you're trying to find and committing to that vision with an ultimate purpose is important. And so having a vision and going about it and conclusively in one direction, to me, that's the most important part. I think there's a lot of different ways to cut to, skin a cat, maybe? Yeah. I saw Teron Armstead's one of is an outstanding player at one of the most difficult positions in the National Football League, and I think that's obvious by the respect that his peers give him and his teammates give him. And to have the opportunity to add a player that's played so good for so long and still has so much good football in front of him, on top of the fact that, like most of the players that we were able to add, really all the players that we were able to add in this offseason, he is a paramount human being and individual. And
You guys have been part of a flurry across the league of signing the trades. Is the league in a new form? Is it about win now?
I mean, it's always kind of been, the coaches, whether you guys realize it or not, are very aware about everyone's impatience, including ownership, fans, media. But again, our particular circumstance was that we had the least amount of players on contract in the National Football League entering free agency. So we were aggressive in what we did and excited about the players that we were targeting. But we also had the most ground to make up with regard to our existing roster and having that prepared to go into the draft and into next season. Huh? Absolutely. Has anyone, Tom Brady? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Tom Brady? The Super Bowl winner? No. Yeah, that has not been in conversation at all. That I think that's what you'd call fake news. I don't know.